Sunday, December 18th, 2011, episode number 35.
It's that time again. XJ Talk Show is on the air. Okay, so it's a podcast, but you know what I mean. Anyway, here's Tony.
Thank you, and welcome to another episode of xjtalk.com show. It's a mouthful, but some find it interesting. My name's Tony. The handle or nickname on xjtalk.com is Mudroy. It's been a little while since I've done a podcast. Been meaning to do one, and had a lot of preparations on getting things going, making things sound a little better. And I think I've been paying more attention to making things sound better instead of actually doing the podcast. I get in that bad little circle of messing around and not actually doing. It's a lifelong problem. It's like all these Jeep parts I got laying here that I need to put on my Jeep. Need to get out there and do it. Actually, it's good weather to do it here in the Houston area because it's been pretty cool out. And for a fat boy in a hot city, well, close to a city, it's it's a welcome relief to have some cooler weather to work in. So we'll get started here in just a second, and thank you very much for joining in with us.
xjtalk.com. It's where you go when you're not off-road.
And it'll probably be after Christmas or Christmas before I do another podcast. So let me wish each and every one of you members and listeners alike a very, very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Although I'm sure I'll be having a podcast before the New Year. In my normal day-to-day work, I actually, at this time of year, they do a shutdown of such, and I guess it saves them some money. I've kind of gotten used to it. I've been with the company I'm working for 3 years now, and it's kind of nice because right at the end of the year, I can count on days off. The downside to that is that I get X number of days for vacation, and I have to wait and see how many days they're actually going to be shut down at the end of the year. So it's kind of a forced vacation, but especially in these days and times with the way the economy is, it's great to have a job. And it was right as the economy was getting bad when I got this job. So 3 years later, same job, same horrible thing that I have to look out for, forced vacation during the holidays. So no, I'm not complaining. It's just, it's nice to have a little more leeway in things, but it's good. I remember, I think it was the first year that I was working for this company. I took my red 98 Jeep out on, wasn't Creekside, Spring Creek. There was a little park up in Spring, Texas, called Spring Creek, and I went up there with Argonard, first name of Rini, and another XJ Talk member that has since moved on to a CJ Scrambler and doesn't visit the site not very often, unfortunately, but because I was kind of interested in seeing that Scrambler build. But anyway, we three went out there. I think actually there was four of us that went out there, and I took my oldest son for his first off-road trip. He was about 22, 23 at the time. So it wasn't like he was, 7 or 8 years old, but he really enjoyed it. It was quite a lot of fun, and it was a good feeling taking all the effort that I'd put into the build, taking it off road, and getting it up and over obstacles. I wouldn't say that it was any great rock crawling event or anything like that. It was just dirt, a little mud. But from just being on the streets most of the time, it was a definite change, and got a little adrenaline rush, because you never know when your, in my case, daily driver might get damaged. Back whenever I was doing off-roading, whenever I was in my early 20s, I was still concerned about damaging my truck, but it was I guess I was less knowledgeable about what could happen. And I blame that on experience as I've gotten older and seen more things. And I think probably the worst case has been the internet, because there are so many stories of people rolling their vehicles, flipping them over, doing lots of totaling them, basically. Lots of comments of, well, let's just make it into a buggy, or that'll buff right out. I did not want that happening to my vehicle. I'm very attached to my vehicle. Love my Jeep. And I don't think I mentioned on the last podcast, it's been a little while, we are now a 3 Jeep family. Well, I did mention about the 99 Jeep Cherokee. My hopes, and I may have expressed this, my hopes were that I would be able to get a Jeep Cherokee, another Jeep Cherokee, for my wife to drive, but hopefully I would be able to get her a Jeep Wrangler. She had wanted the Jeep Wrangler from when she was a very young adult, and the same was true for me. And in fact, and I'm certain I've told this story before, when we bought this 98 Jeep Cherokee, we were looking at a black TJ, black with hardtop and standard transmission, etc., etc. So I was able to find a 2003 red, exact same color red as the 98 Cherokee TJ, and had 93,000 miles on it, 5-speed, 4.0, and really, really nice shape, hardtop. And it has the full doors, the hardtop, and it needed a little work. The struts on the back glass wouldn't hold the glass up very well. We took the top off of it right away. That was one of the big reasons for wanting that for both of us, really. But it had 32-inch all-terrains on it when we got it, and I tell you what, I'm just really surprised at the gearing. There's such a huge difference, and I know I've heard this before, but I've never experienced it. There's such a huge difference between the gearing with the perceived gearing of a standard versus an automatic. Because that Wrangler with the same 4.0, but with a standard transmission, it's to me, I can't really tell a difference in it having the 32-inch tires with the 307 gears and the differentials. That was just really amazing to me. And I guess it's just because you have a lot more control over what gear you're in and how long you stay in that gear and so on and so forth. I think it's pretty funny. I was having some problems with my XJ, and I was driving the Wrangler back and forth to work, and I could get there out on Jones Road whenever I would leave the office and get it into fifth gear, driving about 40 miles an hour, and I was turning about 1,1200 RPM, just above idle. Well, I guess idle's around 700, 800. So, it was a few hundred RPM, but still very, very low RPM. Now, I didn't want to try to accelerate while I was in fifth gear at 40, 45 miles an hour, but it was really cool to be able to see the RPMs that low. And, getting out on the freeway doing 70, 80 miles an hour, the RPMs get up there. They're not up as high as what they are from my 98. Of course, my 98 has the 456 gears in it. and I get around 28. I guess it's around 2,800 RPM driving down the highway, 75 miles an hour. So it's a big difference. But when I learned that it had 32-inch tires, my first thought was, oh great, I'm gonna have to spend, I'm gonna have to drop about $1,500 on this to re-gear it. I can't even understand how they're able to drive the thing with this. Of course, at that time, I really thought that it had the 355 gears, like what my XJ had and what the 99 XJ has. But nope, unfortunately not. And of course, that's the sad thing about the TJ, especially the and I guess they started doing this in the post 99 models. It comes with the Dana 35 rear end and has a low pinion Dana 30 up front. So if we were going to make this into an off-road vehicle, which we're not, it's really just a street vehicle. My wife is not an off-road person. We've done some off-roading, but it just really makes her nervous, and it concerns her that we're going to flip over just, basically level and still. So, to each their own. But she does like sitting up high, and she does like the Jeep a lot, and she really, really wants to be able to take the top off of the Jeep herself. So I've started looking into ways of getting the hardtop off. And right now, my stepson and I can easily take that off. And I did get one of those Best Top storage racks to attach to the back of it. So, you attach the rack to the back of the hardtop, and you unbolt it and pick it up and tilt it and sit it down on the wheels. And now you have a couple 100 pounds of hardtop that you can just wheel around. Now, the next thing I really need to do is figure out a way to store that hardtop, because we don't have a lot of room in the garage. Fortunately, the TJ is much shorter than the XJ, so there is room to have the hardtop in the garage in the same slot as the Wrangler, but it makes it a little difficult to walk around in there. And if you're going to do anything in the garage, you really need to take the Cherokee or the Wrangler out. So, like I said, I was hoping that I would be able to get my wife a Wrangler. That doesn't mean that we are getting rid of the 99 Cherokee. Quite the contrary. My oldest daughter recently got her driver's license. She first had her permit, but she went ahead and got the driver's license. And that's going to be her vehicle. And her younger sister will start driving probably in the next year or so, and they'll share that vehicle up until the time that, like my twin friends used to do, fight over the vehicle. I think Gary would always complain that he did all the cleaning and putting the gas and everything into the pickup, and Carrie just drove it and left it empty and dirty. So I got to see firsthand how two kids deal with a vehicle, and that was pretty cool. Gary had it was eventually Gary's truck, because Carrie and Gary's parents got Carrie another vehicle, and but Gary had this blue 1973 blue pickup, and he took very, very good care of it. And in fact, that's how I learned about using Armor All on the tires and spending hours and hours cleaning your vehicle. So yeah, we all had trucks. It was pretty cool. I was the first one to get a 4-wheel drive out of that group, and we had some fun in the 4-wheel drive, and made me a lifelong 4-wheel drive fan. So anyway, a little bit of rambling there about what's going on with the Jeep family. In fact, that's all we have here at the Motoroy household are Jeeps. Got the 98 Cherokee, the 99 Cherokee, and now the 2003 Jeep Wrangler TJ. And that's all we're really planning on right now. I think 3 vehicles is plenty, and more than enough to keep me busy. The 99, if you've been listening to the past podcast, I had expressed some concern on the 99 that maybe we had blown a head gasket on it, and I guess it's always possible. I still need to do another exhaust gas test on it, but we have not had any further problems with it. The only problem that seems to be a reoccurring one is the belt squeaking. And I was a little surprised. I went and bought the $15 graduated thumb belt tightening gauge from O'Reilly some years ago, just so I could tighten up the belt properly. I can't judge the tightness of the belt on these things because they are so much tighter than what I was taught back in the small block Chevrolet days. I'm very concerned about getting the belt too tight and actually wearing out the bearing in the water pump. So I got this graduated thumb. I call it a graduated thumb because basically it's just a little thing that you move into position and then put it on the belt and you press on it until it clicks, and then you read to see how much this little lever has moved along this like a ruler, and it tells you there in pounds per square inch how tight the belt is. And I laughed when I saw it because it's the same thing that I was taught whenever I was tightening one of the mini belts on the small block Chevys. You put your finger or your thumb on there and you move it back and forth to see how tight the belt is. Well, that's what this is. It just has a measuring device associated with it, so you can be a little more precise with it. Anyway, my point is that I installed the new belt on the 99, and then I took my graduated thumb and put it on there and tightened it and tested and tightened and tested and tightened and tested, and I got it up to, I think it was 110 pounds per square inch. And I went a little bit tighter on it because it's a new belt, and I thought it probably would stretch a little bit. Well, they're leaving. My daughter and my wife are leaving the other day, and it's squeaking. With the air conditioner on, it starts squeaking. So I need to go out there and tighten it up again. I'm going to put my graduated thumb back on it to see if it has stretched. I guess it's possible that the air conditioner compressor is a little tight and it's causing the squeak. I think I can make it tight enough so that it won't damage the water pump and not squeak. That's my goal, my personal goal. The 98 doesn't squeak, but I drive it all the time, so I make sure that I get it right. The other one I don't drive, so I don't give as much attention to it. I think that's just probably human nature. You don't think about it as much. So anyway, the 99 is doing good. Does not appear to be having any issues, cooling issues. We'll find out for sure next summer. There is a plan in the works, though, about replacing the engine in the 99. I recently had some problems with the 98 in as much as the torque converter would not lock up. I was having some problems with that, P0740 code coming up on occasion, like in around July, I guess. And it would come and go. I would clear it and it would go away. It was kind of interesting because of the Bluetooth OBD2 scanner that I have and the torque software that I had on my Android smartphone, I was literally able to check and clear the codes while driving. And it's not recommended to do. I think on some vehicles it could actually cause the engine to stall. I don't have any kind of issues like that with mine, but I think I read that someplace. So just be warned if you try to do the same thing. But anyway, I would, you can check the torque converter lockup simply by driving at a steady speed around 50, 55 miles an hour or over 50, and then tapping the brakes, not stopping, not slowing down, but just, basically making the brake light come on. When somebody's following you too close, that type of just tapping the brake. And when you do that, it sends a signal, I guess, to the computer, and the computer says, "Oh, unlock the torque converter," because we don't want it just straight through, connected straight through. We want the torque converter to slip, and you'll see the RPM raise about 100 or 200 RPM, indicating that the torque converter is no longer locked in tandem with the transmission and everything else. Or I guess really what I should say is locked between the transmission and the engine. So what was really cool was whenever I would get that code, the P0740 code, the torque converter was not locking up. I could clear the code and it would start working again. And apparently that's very common. That's the way it's supposed to do. So that's what I was doing for quite a while. So I did some checking. I bought some solenoids because there was a possibility that the torque converter solenoid wasn't locking up or was causing it not to lock up. And I replaced those solenoids, and it went from being a marginal problem to being a constant problem. So instead of it being occasionally coming up and the torque converter not working, it went to, as soon as I hit 50 miles an hour for 10 or 15 seconds, the check engine light would come on. You'd check it. It was a P0740. And I could not get the RPMs to drop, past the 50 miles an hour. So the torque converter was not locking up. So I did some investigation for a few weeks and finally got frustrated with it and started talking to some transmission repair shops. And I was concerned that the result was going to be, oh yeah, your transmission needs to be rebuilt, or better yet, this. Oh yeah, well, I don't know. It could be several things. How many miles do you have on your transmission? 174,000? Oh yeah, you need a full rebuild. So I didn't really want to take it to any of the big name transmission shops because I get, first off, I just don't like having people work on my vehicles. They do not care about your vehicle as much as you do. I don't care how they come across. It's just, if it was just something I was paying on every month and I had not taken the time to add things, to replace things, to take care of, so on and so forth. If it was 2 years old and it had problems, or 3 years old and it had problems, and I was going to be trading it in and getting, what do I care? I mean, I just want it to keep going long enough to get me to the trade-in. And I just want to have it in a good enough condition so that I get top dollar for it. So it's a little bit different whenever you're modifying your vehicle to do things and you're taking the time to research and think about, and then taking the hours to make the modifications yourself. So I was very concerned about taking my vehicle to a shop. So I was looking for something that was perhaps local owned and not a chain. I found what I thought was perfect, was a really nice little radiator shop over here in Katy. And when I say Katy, I mean old Katy, back the Katy from the 50s. It's not really from the 50s, but if you go over there and look, it's very much a small town type thing, as opposed to the multiple subdivisions that are called Katy. But really, you can see a stark contrast between the two. The smaller homes, the larger open areas. They even have a feed and hardware store in Katy that I love going to because it reminds me of the Lynchburg feed and hardware store that I used to ride my bicycle to when I lived in Lynchburg, which is just a little subdivision just outside of Baytown and very close to Highlands, Texas. So, and if you're a Texan, you probably are aware of the San Jacinto Monument, the San Jacinto Battleground, the Battleship Texas, all that. Well, there is a boat, a ferry, that will take you from the San Jacinto Monument Battleship Texas side to the opposite side of the channel. And the opposite side of the channel is Lynchburg. So that little community is, that's where I used to live. That's where I grew up. It was really neat. I had an acre of land to grow up on and lots of woods to go hunting with our pellet guns and such. So it was really, really cool. I wish my children could have the same thing, but it's very difficult to find a place like that, I feel, and still being close to where you work. My dad drove from Baytown to Houston every day. I think he drove 40 miles round trip every day. At any rate, so it was like a feed and hardware store that was there at Lynchburg, and it was pretty cool. That feed and hardware store actually had baby chicks, so you could go over there and buy your baby chicks and raise them, and although I guess you could have just put them on a cracker. I don't know. I would assume that people grew up and then got eggs and ate them. I know our neighbors did. But anyway, at any rate, it was a cool place. So they have this feed and hardware store in Katy, and I like going over there. And in fact, they had the really big D-ring shackles like I wanted to put on my tree saver and toe strap that I got recently. And they were about $13, I think. But they were the really big ones, so it would be really easy to get the tree saver strap in there. And I got a couple of those from over there. And they have, nuts and bolts and things. It's not a huge place, but it's very nice. So at any rate, I've kind of lost my way. I apologize. I've gone off on too many tangents, and I came back as far as I could get, and now I'm lost. So anyway, that's what's going on with the Jeeps. We've got the 3 Jeeps, and getting back over to the thing that I probably should be talking about from the start is the website, xjtalk.com. Now, if you're not familiar with xjtalk.com, and certainly you must be by now, it's a little site that talks about Jeep Cherokees, and we talk about other Jeeps, and we talk about things that aren't Jeeps. So one of the things that we've been doing here that's a bit different, in October we had a giveaway, and it was for a pair of DetourUSA.com A-pillar light mounts and a pair of KC highlight daylighters, 100 watts. And we basically what we did for that one was we said who can post the most. Whoever can post the most wins. And a gentleman by the name of Tim Fox, I'm hoping I'm getting that name right, won those. And boy, he what did he have? 600 posts or something in a month. It was amazing, and mind you, that was during the month of October. It was not total posts ever. It was just the post in October, and he did a real good job. He's really helped us out with the post counts, and hopefully it has helped the site getting more people posted and getting more people to post and more people to join. Then in November, we gave away another Detours product. It was a brand new product that Mark at DetoursUSA.com has been working on, called a knuckle bone. And he's got a thing for bones. He's got the tailbone, he's got the backbone, and now he's come up with a knuckle bone. The tailbone is a bumper, the slimline bumper. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that right. The slimline bumper is what I got. The tailbone is actually really cool. It's like a slimline, but it uses your stock bumper. So the piece that attaches to your Jeep Cherokee is similar to the slimline, but you can still use your factory bumper. So you just kind of put little cutouts in there, and you've got these recovery points where you can put the D shackles, and you can. It has a tire swing tire carrier on it, and it's really, really cool. I was really torn between getting the slimline bumper with spare tire carrier and the tailbone. I decided that I wasn't going to try to keep my vehicle looking stock, and I'd always thought to myself, if I ever build another Cherokee, I'm going to try to keep it stock looking, but still have the ability to carry a spare tire. And also, too, the other part of it was the backbone, which is actually not the back, it's for the front. And it's a bumper, a winch bumper. Well, again, it uses your bumper that's on your Cherokee, but it has, you notch the bumper and you put the winch plate. It has a winch plate, and then it has the two recovery points where you can put D-rings. So it's really cool. You can put a winch and a spare tire carrier on your Jeep Cherokee and still keep that stock look about it. So it really appealed to me. I just went a different direction with a custom front bumper, winch bumper from Detours, and the Slimline from Detours, which I love. I think it's great. But there's something to be said for having the stock look, but still having the functionality of a winch and carrying a spare tire. Oh well, God, I hated carrying that spare tire in the cargo area. That was the only thing I could get in there. If I went to Sam's to buy some groceries, they all went on top of the tire, and there was enough room there for it, but it was just aesthetically, it just didn't appeal to me. And also too, I was getting the carpet stained with the oil from the tire. So at any rate, I know that you guys, I'm turning some of you guys' stomachs, because the way you look at it is that's what a Jeep's for. You're supposed to make it dirty. You're supposed to beat it up. No, that's fine. You do it the way you want to do it. I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. Anyway, so what we gave away was this knuckle bone, and the knuckle bone is this cool idea that it's not a unique idea. You guys have seen them before. It's basically a tire carrier that connects to your 2-inch receiver on the class 3 hitch, trailer hitch. And what Mark came up with was a way to do it where it would lay down from a vertical position to a horizontal position, not backwards, but to the side, which is to me a much better idea, because now if you come out to your vehicle and you're parked around other cars, you can actually get that wheel down and off in a parking lot. And also too, what if you just want to open up the back hatch? And if it's one of those spare tire hitches that lays back, again, you need to have some room between the back of the vehicle and where the tire is going to lay over. So I thought that was pretty cool that this thing actually lays down to the side instead of back, going straight back. And he also put some things in there that makes it very easy to secure the knuckle bone to the 2-inch receiver so that it doesn't get stolen. I mean, gosh, it would be horrible to come out and see no spare tire and no carrier. So he's developed a way to lock that thing in place, and it has some anti-rattle stuff built into it. So it doesn't rattle. It's difficult to steal. Of course, anything can be stolen. It's difficult to steal, and I think it handles up to 33-inch tires. And I think it really depends on where your 2-inch receiver is. If it's up high, like built into the bumper, then you may not have as much clearance. If it's down low, then you may have more clearance. If you have 8 inches of lift on your vehicle, you're going to have more room to drop the tire down. But really, Mark's guidelines is it's good up to a 33-inch tire. And don't quote me on that. Go to xjtalk, go to detoursusa.com and check out the specifics. If Mark doesn't have the knuckle bone up on his site yet, just send him an email or give him a call. He'll be happy to talk to you about it. And I think the things were going for like $250. So, and it doesn't cost as much to ship because it's not as heavy as a full bumper, which is the beauty of the tailbone and the knuckle bone as well. They're not as heavy as the full thing, the full size deal. I know because I've paid a lot of shipping getting those heavy bumpers from Massachusetts and then Kentucky to Katy, Texas. So we gave away the knuckle bone, and actually one of our moderators won it. That the November contest was getting people to new members to register on the site, and they had to mark you as a referral. And not only that, they needed to make at least 2 posts. So it was kind of a point system. I think you got 2 points for a new member referral. And then you got 3 points for every post that they made. And the interesting thing was we had a couple of people that I actually thought was going to win it that had several members join, but those members didn't post very much. And Steve had one member join, and I don't think it was even his intent to try to win win this prize in the contest. He was just being a good guy and referring people to the site. And the guy that he referred, put him down as the person that referred him, and then got on there and was just posting. Gosh, I guess he did 30, 40 posts during the month of November. And Steve won by a wide margin. He had the most points. And he just received the knuckle bone, I think, yesterday, day before. Yesterday he posted up on XJ Talk about how it mounted on the vehicle. Now Steve he's already gone. He's a big fabricator. He's done a lot of work to his XJ. It's a really interesting story. You should check that out, Steve, which is 4.3 LXJ on xjtalk.com. And he's done a lot of work, and one of the things he did is he got a one of the old stock. I think this is right. I think that's an old stock XJ spare tire holder that you have on there, Steve. And he modified it to fit on his vehicle. So he already has that on his custom aluminum bumper that he built. But since it does have a 2-inch receiver, he went ahead and mounted it up and took some pictures and showed how it worked, and was a real nice write-up, and I really appreciate that, Steve. Thank you. But I think his intent is his son has an XJ as well that does not have a spare tire carrier. So I think that's where it's going to go. I think that's where it's destined. But it was nice to see it on Steve's rig. Now, I'm saying this, and I may make Steve feel really bad if he hadn't told his son that he was going to give it to him, and he likes it so much he's going to keep it for himself. If that's the case, Steve, I'm sorry, but don't tell me if you don't want people to know, or at least tell me don't say anything, because I haven't made up my mind yet. No, I think Steve's going to keep his spare tire holder on there. It goes back to one of those things where you do a lot of time and effort and work. You want to be able to, sit back and go, yeah, I did that. And the neat thing about Steve is he's built some very nice looking bumpers. I like the rear bumper he has because it has a space for a winch in the back. So, that I'd really like that. That really would impress the people at the mall.
Question or comment that you'd like to hear on the show? Just call 530-675-4102 any time of the day or night and leave it on our voicemail.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you about xjtalk.com. It's a great site. There's no bashing. Everybody's nice and friendly. Great place to be.
Hey, Tony. My name is Mike. I go by Mafonzolo on the forum. I've been a Jeep guy for about 10 years, and I own 2 XJs and 1 MJ. I wanted to pass a trick along to you and all the other XJ guys who are listening. It has to do with the well-known overheating issue with our XJs. As you know, the mechanical fan clutch that the XJs have is thermostatically controlled by a spring on the front of the fan clutch. It has been my experience that this thermo control does not operate as it should, even on new clutches. If you pull the fan clutch off the Jeep and look at the front of it where the wound spring is, you will see that the outer end of the spring is held by a clip, and the other end at the center of the spring is attached to a shaft on the fan clutch. The idea is that once the Jeep gets hot enough, the spring expands and turns the shaft into engaged position, which in turn engages the fan clutch. This is why a 180-degree thermostat doesn't help with overheating. It's because the fan clutch doesn't engage until the temperature hits about 195 degrees. I found that most of the time it doesn't engage even then. So the trick is to engage it manually. Looking at the front of the fan clutch, take the outer end of the spring that is held by the retaining tab and pop it free. Sometimes there's a dab of glue in this spot. Just clean that off. Once you pop the outer end of the spring from the retaining tab, spin it counterclockwise 180 degrees and lock it behind another tab on the opposite side. That's it. Now put the fan clutch back on your Jeep. This has the same effect as if the spring were to expand under high temperature and puts the fan clutch into an always engaged mode. When you start your Jeep now and drive it, you should hear the fan roar like a jet. This is what the fan should sound like with the clutch fully engaged. None of the clutches I've ever bought or used sound like this, even with the Jeep running hot, which leads me to believe that the thermostatic control on the clutch is not sensing the temperature of the motor correctly. Doing this will keep your Jeep running cooler in the hot weather. Come wintertime, I just spin the spring back around to where it was so the Jeep doesn't overcool. Well, that's it. If all this sounds too confusing, I can make a YouTube video on how to do it and throw it up on the forum. Well, that's it for me. Keep up the great work, and I'll be looking forward to the next podcast. Peace.
Well, that was a great tip, and one that I had read about before, but it was beautifully explained by this xjtalk.com member. And it's another one of those names, nicknames that people come up with that they have to explain to me before I can remember it. And he's Mafunzalo, which is basically my funds are low, like it is the case for all of us that have had a Jeep for very long. So really appreciate that, Mike, and thank you for taking the time to call in. And if you would like to have your questions or comments called in, if you would like to have them played on the show, please call in and leave them on our voicemail. It's a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week voicemail. You don't have to worry about ringing somebody's phone and bothering them at 2 o'clock in the morning or having to speak with somebody when you call. It's just voicemail. So if you call and just leave a message, if you would say who you are, what your name on XJ Talk is, what's your first name, and where you're located, that would be just really, really cool. It's just kind of an interesting thing for people to hear, like if you're in their part of the country, so on and so forth. And also, too, they may want to ask you some questions on the site. But anyway, that number is 530-675-4102. 530-675-4102. And, if you don't have one of those plans, which most everybody does these days, where you can call anywhere in the United States for free, or at least that's part of your plan so you don't pay extra for it, send me a message. I can read your tip or your information on the air. Just send me a private message, Motoroy on xjtalk.com, or if you'd like for me to call you, I can call you and record your message or comment. Maybe even we could talk a bit. So again, you can send me that private message on xjtalk.com, or just drop me a email at motoroy@xjtalk.com. So motoroy@xjtalk.com.
We welcome and look forward to your questions and comments. Dial 530-675-4102 and leave your message on our 24/7 voicemail.
Well, guys, that's about it for tonight. I really appreciate you taking time to download, listening to the podcast, and hopefully we're going to have a few more of these at a regular basis, and might even be doing the video side of this here in the next couple of episodes. I've been looking at some high-def webcams, and if we can find some stuff for you to look at besides me talking, it might be something you can look forward to seeing on YouTube. Which means that if you are interested in watching some videos on YouTube, xjtalk.com, we put the videos up on YouTube first, and that's just youtube.com/xjtalk. So if you like videos, go over there and subscribe to xjtalk.com, or xjtalk, I should say, and watch the videos, and you'll see those on the site as well. So either place. But you'll probably see the show, if and when we do the video portion of it, just on YouTube. If you'd like to be a caller where we interview you and talk about what you're doing with your Jeep or just things that are going on, laws that may be affecting your ability to wheel off-road, new products that are coming out. If you're a vendor and you got something to sell, happy to talk to you about your product. So again, you can use that same number, 530-675-4102, to give me a call, and we can schedule something. Love doing the interviews. Love talking to people about their Jeeps and, just what's going on in their lives. It makes the show interesting. It makes it more interesting for me, frankly, than me just talking all the time. So thanks very much for tuning in, and hopefully we'll have a show next week, if not sooner. So just keep touching base back with the site and see what we got available for you. Everybody have a good night, a very Merry Christmas, and a very Happy New Year. Oh, and hang on at the end of the show here. I'm going to have a very special song that a friend of mine did.
I just wanted to say XJ Talk is the best fucking site in the fucking world. And if you think you know of a better fucking site, fuck you. By the way, this is Big Jim 350. Bye.
Oh, red Jeeps are sexy.
Okay, and as a special Christmas bonus, here's a original song done by a friend of mine, Tom Rapp, and it's called Christmas Cheer. He created it last year, and it's a very catchy tune. I really enjoy it, and I hope you do too. You can hear more of Tom Rapp's tunes and read more about what's going on with him on his website, TomRappShow.com. That's rap with 2 P's.
Christmas is my favorite time of year. Christmas is my favorite time of year. Everybody knows when it is near. Children yells and jingle bells, give me something no one sells, and fill that cup on up with Christmas cheer. Christmas is the time to celebrate. Throw some more of that turkey on my plate. Don't sit home, don't be alone. Call some friends up on the phone and fill that cup on up with Christmas cheer. I know what I'm gonna go and ask Santa for. I'm gonna get a present just for me. She's cuddly and she's sweet, a girl that I adore. Just put a gorgeous doll under my tree. Christmas is the time to celebrate. Throw some more of that turkey on my plate. Remember that you're not alone. Read some letters from back home and fill that cup on up with Christmas cheer. So I can have my darling here with me. Christmas is my favorite time of year. Everybody knows when it is near. Children yells and jingle bells, give me something no one sells, and fill that cup on up with Christmas cheer. And fill that cup on up with Christmas cheer.
That's Tom Rapp, TomRappShow.com. Go over there and download you a copy. Merry Christmas, everyone.